Hi, it's Paul. Let's check out normal serous effusion specimens. Now I'm going to concentrate on the morphology of mesothelial cells because that's the key, really, I think, to diagnosing fluids. Here is a normal fluid specimen. We've got quite a lot of leukocytes in the background, which will mainly probably be lymphocytes. And then scattered around we have cells with a lower NC ratio. These are mesothelial cells. You can see they're mostly single in arrangement with some little groupings, particularly pairs of cells. And on higher power they show classic features, so mostly a central nucleus, little nucleolus in most of them, and this sort of fuzzy edge to the cytoplasm, so it is not as well defined as a squamous cell would be. So notice there's quite a lot of background lymphocytes here, and the mesothelial cells standing out because they have more abundant, darker, denser cytoplasm. There is binucleation. This is a classic mesothelial arrangement here where you have two cells together with a little window in between them. See that paler area? That's formed because the cells have such long microvilli that are keeping them apart. This is a pap stain, and the same features you can see on this. So these are mesothelial cells. They have a lacy border around the outside there, and a little window in between the two cells where they meet. Notice how pale the chromatin is on these, so it's hypochromatic really, with little nucleoli. So most mesothelial cells will have nucleoli, and sometimes they can be quite prominent. So they're not a useful feature in terms of is this normal or abnormal. Again, little groups showing that lacy edge to the cytoplasm and windows. Here's another good group on a diff quick. You can see the lacy periphery and the little window separating most of the cells where they join. So this is a useful feature to identify mesothelial cells. Here is a pap stain specimen. Notice how cellular this is. So this case is reactive, and this is like a gradation of change really, but this increased cellularity is one of the features of that. Increased numbers of groups and increased numbers of cells with prominent nucleoli are all features of reactive change. Notice they retain the mesothelial characteristics, so still got that lacy edge to them and still quite a hypochromatic nucleus. Often you'll have increased amounts of inflammation present in these cases as well, which again just really fits with the reactive nature of the specimen. So reactive change is not something that we report, but the significance lies in its sometimes ability to mimic adenocarcinoma. A couple of cells here mimicking melanoma as well with those eccentric binucleate cells. That looks like a bug-eyed demon almost there. This is a reactive case with a pap stain. You can see fairly prominent nucleoli in just about all the cells here, a little more tendency towards grouping. Here you have more grouped looking cells, and again they have quite a degree of uniformity to them, so pretty much all the same size and shape nuclei, same NC ratio. If we look at high power at these groups, you will see that some of them are fairly tight, but nearly all of them have apparent sort of windows in them as well. This group here has a bit of a scalloped outline to it and a uniformity of nuclei, so these are quite hypochromatic. There's windows in the various groups, and these groups are not really complex in any fashion, meaning they're not branching or terribly three-dimensional. This is a diff quick, and there's a little bit of nuclear atypia here perhaps, but again we've got windows in between cells and a very scalloped outline to this group. Notice also that the nuclei are not really peripherally arranged. They're indented slightly from the side, so it's not really a true glandular acini. This is the pap stain. You can see it's very cellular, lots of mesothelial cells and some little groups. But even at this power, you can see how pale the nuclei are, so they're just not standing out from the cytoplasm. They've got prominent nucleoli, but they're quite identifiable as definitely mesothelial cells. Just looking around, they've nearly all got lacy collars like this. Finally, here's another example, again pap stain. We've got some more groups with windows. Pretty uniform in size and shape, very prominent nucleoli, but these are looking like reactive mesothelial cells to me. Here's a nice little group. It's quite tight, but I think it still has windows in it. And notice how the cells in that group really match all the individual single cells around that are obviously mesothelial. Nice windows in this group here. So, in summary, benign mesothelial cells are usually single in arrangement, often in little pairs of cells, or very small groups that show obvious windows in between the cells where they're separated. There is usually a moderate amount of cytoplasm, which has a distinctive sort of two-tone nature to it with a lacy border. Nuclei are usually central, but sometimes appear a little eccentric. And they typically have that very pale, fine, hypochromatic chromatin. And nucleoli may be quite prominent at times with mesothelial cells. So when they become reactive or hypoplastic, mesothelial cells become much more numerous in specimens. They become more cellular. You get more groups of cells. Usually these are fairly simple groups that are flat. They show windows and a sculpt outline, sometimes a core of collagen in the middle of them. They often have quite prominent nucleoli, but the key features are that they retain those mesothelial characteristics, including the cytoplasmic characteristics and the very pale hyperchromatic chromatin. And these are important features in separating them from malignant mesothelioma and from malignant metastases of adenocarcinoma.